Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this morning we have with us Hunter Garnett from his own law firm, Garnett Patterson in Huntsville, Alabama. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jonathan. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Good to have you. So it looks like you might be still drinking some coffee. What's your beverage of choice?
It's kind of like an informal latte, just black coffee, whole milk. One little interesting tidbit, I drink raw whole milk from a local farmer that gives it to me.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Tell me, wait. Pasteurized or what? What do you mean raw?
No, like it's unpastured milk. So it's just, he gets it straight from the cow, puts it in a jug, cools it off, and I get it, the next day.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that healthy?
Yeah, it's actually so I won't get into all the science of it, but pasteurization is, I think it's outdated. It's not necessary for most people. And the pasteurization process pulls out a lot of the vitamins and minerals that are natural to milk. And then also like mass produced milk comes from a Holstein cow. Okay.
Yeah.
And most other breeds of cattle have a higher fat content. So this milk's probably 4% fat, whereas, store-bought's 3%, whole milk's 3%. So.
Wow. You gotta have to send me something on this so I can read about it.
Who knew? Your listeners probably didn't know they were going to learn about raw milk today.
You got me on that one. I don't even know what to say to that. It seems like we're going back in time, but I'm sure there's something to it. You wouldn't be doing it if it was dangerous.
That's right.
All right, interesting. So, wow. Okay, so tell us about yourself. What kind of law you practice?
Sure. So I'm a personal injury lawyer. I'm here in Huntsville, Alabama. I spent about 4.5 years with an attorney referral-based practice with a focus on catastrophic injuries. Didn't know that I wanted to be a personal injury lawyer until I kind of fell in that job, and I loved it. I grew up in a blue-collar community working on a farm, family farm, and typically the types of people that get injured, they're generally blue-collar workers,
right?
At least in my neck of the woods. And so I found that I could relate to them more easily than most of my colleagues and peers. And they're my favorite type of clients: school teachers, police officers, farmers, plant workers. Are just salt of the earth people. I enjoy representing them, and although it's a burden sometimes to represent them on their hardest day, it's fulfilling at the same time.
Oh, good. Where'd you go to law school?
I went to law school at Cumberland School of Law. It's at Samford University.
Oh, Sanford. Yeah.
Yeah, Samford. And actually, my wife went to college there, and that's really what brought me there. We met at my 14th birthday party at the public swimming pool, and started dating a few years later. And I knew pretty quickly I wanted to marry her, but we did long distance for a while. When I started looking at law schools, it just made sense to pick the law school in the city where she was, and it was one of the best decisions I could have made because Cumberland has an excellent mock trial program.
Okay.
And I didn't know I wanted to be a trial lawyer, but I entered some competitions and I just fell in love with the courtroom. And that's what really brought me to personal injury. Was I just wanted to try cases. I didn't know what kind of trial lawyer I wanted to be. I just wanted to be in the courtroom, and fell into it and realized, man, I love representing real people.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. And I was reading about your background. So tell me about your background. It's interesting. Grew up on a farm and big family.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm. I'm the oldest of 7. I've got 6 younger sisters. My grandfather had 3 daughters, and so I was the first grandchild, and he pretty much raised me. I was very blessed to have 2 father figures in my life, and I spent every day possible on his farm, working in his chicken houses, feeding cows, riding the tractor, and just fell in love with it. And until I was, basically grown, until I decided I for sure wanted to go to law school, I thought I was going to be a farmer for a long time. But it's a hard life. It's a hard living to make as a small farmer. We had a small, very small farm, just big enough for really one income. Um, and so I got really involved with some agricultural leadership organizations, Future Farmers of America, 4-H, and that steered me to Mississippi State for college to study agricultural economics. And I had a professor actually that his wife was a judge,
Hmm.
and he's who first told me you need to be a lawyer. He said you have the demeanor for it. I can tell you enjoy interacting with people, and that's when I really started thinking about it. And the Lord just opened all the right doors. LSAT scores lined up, scholarships lined up. The right doors were opened in Birmingham, and here I am.
Wow, that's an interesting story. So I assume you're the first lawyer in the family.
Oh yeah, uh, I'm the first member of my family to graduate from a university, and
So
so
first generation college student. Yeah, interesting.
that's right. And
Wow.
my uh let me exit out of these emails because I heard that ding.
Oh, that's okay.
Um, yeah, first member of my family to go to college, first lawyer. When I went to start applying for law school, I actually only knew two lawyers. I knew a judge and a district attorney. Um, and so I had no idea what to expect. Um, but it's worked out really well for me. And I've honestly found that my background, growing up in a blue collar community, my dad's a lawnmower mechanic. My mom, like I said, grew up on a farm. It gives me a big advantage because I started getting cases right out of the gate. I'm the only
Right.
lawyer for my little community. And when people get in an accident or even have any legal problems, I'm the only lawyer they know.
Sure.
Um, and so I get a lot of business that way. And then also, I think it's an advantage because in North Alabama, we have a lot of conservative venues. Most of the communities are blue collar communities. And so when I walk into a courtroom, I don't have to put on, I don't have to act. I can relate to the jurors because they're just like me. They're just like my parents. They're just like the folks that I grew up with. They're
Right.
just like
Right.
my childhood friends.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I would think so. So you can be very empathetic, right? Toward
Yeah,
towards the both sides, right? I mean, it's authentic, right?
that's right.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Um, interesting stuff there. And what was law school like? I mean, again, when you come from a different world, it's like now you're in a world with you probably got people from very different backgrounds, right?
Yeah, I'll never forget. So I was on student government, and my two of the guys, and I like them both, really, really nice guys, close friends of mine, and they were talking about their dad and their grandpa's boat. Okay. And I was just kind of listening, and it was like they were speaking a foreign language. They weren't talking about a boat, they were talking about yachts.
Right.
Okay. And
Right.
these guys were, second, third generation lawyers. And I got a kick out of it. But my dad had just bought a boat like the week before. He had
Right.
bought a 12-foot John boat with
Yeah.
a 30 horse, Johnson motor on it. And so while they were talking about their boats, I shared that my dad had bought a boat and they wanted to ask me questions. And that's when I told them a different kind of boat. But yeah, it was hard. I had some, I was self-conscious about it
Yeah.
in law school because my wife and I were married. We were totally on our own. She's the fifth of seven as well.
Okay.
Didn't have a lot of financial support. I didn't have any connections. So I didn't know if I was going to be a successful lawyer. I thought I had to just kind of pave my own path. Um, but it's funny, when I decided I wanted to be a personal injury lawyer, I have an advantage over those guys really because, I can relate to my ideal client.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're in Huntsville. That's where you practice law.
That's right. So I grew up in the county right next to Huntsville. Decatur's the county seat there. I'm actually opening a satellite office there. I mean, probably October 1st.
Okay. Good.
A lot of my cases are in my home county. When I went out on my own and started my law firm, I considered just going straight back home. But what I found is my clients from Morgan County will drive to Huntsville. It's only 45 minutes. They're coming to Huntsville to go to Costco, go to the doctor, do all kinds of stuff. My clients in Huntsville won't drive to Decatur.
Right.
So this is my headquarters for now, opening a satellite office in Decatur and going to try to run them both for a little while. As my wife and I have children, we may gradually move closer to Decatur to be closer to family. But for now, yeah, Huntsville's headquarters. That's my base.
Okay. I mean, I read recently J.D. Vance book, Hillbilly Elegy. Yes, his story is interesting too, right? You maybe relate to that.
Yeah, I do. I thought that was a great book, a great movie. I can totally relate to it,
Yeah.
especially because, man, I've got half a dozen friends, friends and acquaintances that I knew from high school that have overdosed on drugs. Um, so yeah, that book really hit close to home. The opioid epidemic has been catastrophic for North Alabama.
Oh, it is. It's big. I wasn't even thinking about the drug. I'm just talking about like sort of the evolution, coming from a, working class background, then going. I mean, he's pretty interesting path he's taken, right? Ohio State, then Yale Law School. I mean, totally different world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, he's an interesting political figure. But that's quite a story. So your personal injury just became your passion.
Yeah. So, I just really like helping real people. And kind of by default, the most lucrative area of practice that I can help real people
Yeah.
is personal injury. That's kind of what I fell into. And I really enjoy it. I love the small cases where I get to just put a little bit of money in somebody's pocket. They're in at just as good a shape after the wreck as they were before the wreck or whatever the accident was. The catastrophic injury cases are more difficult. There's more baggage. Even if you get hundreds of thousands of dollars for somebody that's lost a loved one or lost their ability to work or live a normal life, it's never enough. You never
Right.
settle a really big case, and the client is glad that they were in this accident. It's
Yeah,
still
of
a
course.
event.
Yeah, I mean, they're not doing it for the money, right? I mean, they want to get compensated somehow. So what's your typical case that you work on?
So my ideal client is somebody that is very hesitant to hire a lawyer. Okay.
Yep.
If somebody calls me from the scene of the crash, that's a red flag. Very, very rarely do I ever take those cases. Even if they call me the next day, they're thinking about a lawsuit immediately after a crash, that's a red flag.
Wait,
for
why
me.
is that? Let me stop you for a second. Why is that a red flag?
Well, typically they're, this doesn't always work out this way, but
Yeah.
sometimes they view it as a lottery ticket. They've been in
Okay.
an
Okay.
accident, they've
Yep.
seen. In the South, we have a lot of billboard lawyers, a lot of TV lawyers, and those guys advertise these big numbers. And
Yeah,
so,
I'm in the state of Florida, so trust me, I drive up and down 95.
yeah,
See 'em.
you see it all the time.
Yeah.
So, if somebody's glad that they're in an accident, I don't want that case.
Okay.
Okay. I get hired usually after the client has been jerked around a little bit by an insurance company. They didn't want to hire a lawyer, but they haven't been treated fairly. And then they call me. Sometimes it's
Okay.
30 days. I get a lot of cases where folks wait till right up to the statute of limitations to talk to a lawyer. And it does complicate a case when somebody waits that long, but I know that they really need me if they've waited that long. And also I know that they're going to be appreciative of my service. They've already been through the ringer, and they're going to be glad to have somebody on their side.
Got it. So how do you get your business then? Is it just through your local network?
That's a big part of it. I use my personal Facebook page almost like a business page.
Okay.
I post, or I shouldn't say that. I run my personal page how a business page probably should be run. I post very, very few like true legal posts, but about 20 to 30% of my posts, I'm just trying to stay top of mind, remind people that I am a lawyer. So like this past week, Wednesday, I had a mediation in Decatur. I had a horse that I needed to take to Hartselle, which is just south of Decatur. And so I thought, well, I'll just two birds, one stone. I'll drop the horse off, go to my mediation. Okay. Well, I had my horse trailer with me, and I bumped into a friend, and he thought it was so funny that was practicing law in my beat up pickup truck and pulling this horse trailer around town. And so that's an example. So I took a little selfie video and just kind of made a joke out of it. Reminded everybody I'm a personal injury lawyer. I'm here mediating a case in Decatur. I settled it today. My client is tickled to death, and here's my good luck charm. Here's what I brought with me, and I had my horse trailer in the background. So that's doesn't come across as marketing directly, but it is. It reminds everybody I'm a personal
Absolutely.
lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm a real person. So I get a lot of cases from my personal Facebook page. I got 2 phone calls just from that one post, just because I stayed top of mind with people. I get a lot of cases from the Hispanic community here. I've got nearly everybody that works for me is bilingual, and we do a good job of marketing ourselves in the Hispanic community. It's very word of mouth. It's very
Is that
referral.
big in where you are? Is there a large population there?
It's a fairly large population. It's
Yeah.
just the right size, in my opinion, where it's not drawing a lot of attention,
Yeah.
but it's big enough that you can make you can have a nice personal injury practice just with Hispanic clients.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't imagine that in Huntsville.
It's partly because Huntsville is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And
Well,
so,
Huntsville's an interesting. I know I spent some time there before. It's an interesting sort of I'm trying to think of the right word, dichotomy almost in some ways, right? You have old like Huntsville, Alabama, then you have very high tech with NASA.
yeah,
High tech, very high tech.
right. We're like, we're the center of the world for missile technology. The Redstone Arsenal is our big employer here. It's like 60,000 people that work either for the government or for a contractor on the arsenal. We're NASA, like HQ2. There are 6,000 FBI employees that are either employed in Huntsville or coming to Huntsville. So we're like Quantico 2, HQ2 for the FBI.
Yep.
Facebook's got a presence here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And so it's a fast growing community. Toyota just built a huge plant. It's going to employ like 40,000 people between the plant and the suppliers.
Okay.
So we're a fast growing community. And as you can imagine, when you're building things, 80-90% of the workforce is Hispanic.
Or certainly, you're bringing people in working class that are looking for that kind of work for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
So you get a lot of people moving in there, I would imagine, from other places.
Yeah, a lot of people moving in. Actually, my best hires at my law firm are typically spouses of engineers or other professionals that are moving to Huntsville for a job.
Okay.
And the spouse is looking for a job. Maybe they've been a paralegal in Seattle or Missouri. That's where the 2 paralegals that I've hired, that's where they came from.
Okay.
And I found that to be a better way to staff than to try to poach from my colleagues.
That makes sense. Interesting. So, yeah. No, it was many years ago. I was there. It struck me as interesting. Like you have the core of Huntsville, which is, urbanized and high tech, and then you get outside. It's a very different world, right?
Yeah, that's right. Let me ask you this: what do your folks enjoy talking about, marketing or processes and systems? More. I'm glad to talk about either one.
Oh, no. This is just a general thing. I'm just curious. I mean, I noticed on your thing that you also, I mean, it seems like you're into marketing because I see Ken Hardison here is one of your influencers, which obviously he's all about growing your law practice.
That's right. And I love marketing, but what I found is since I went out on my own, I've focused on systems. And before I hated processes and systems. I just wanted to either litigate cases or get cases.
Sure.
But I decided if I was going to scale and build a practice that was going to serve me in the long run rather than me serve it, I would have to do a lot of work on the front end building a good system. And so that's really been our focus the last 8 or 9 months, is growing modestly. We're growing, we're getting cases.
Yeah. How many lawyers you have?
So just me, and I've got an older partner that I merged with.
Are you planning on adding lawyers as well?
Yeah, we're talking probably in 2023, we are going to hire a lawyer.
Okay.
Right now we've got 2 paralegals, 1 in-person legal assistant, and then we utilize a lot of part-time and virtual assistants. And so like I've got a virtual assistant in the Philippines who's changed my whole practice.
Really? Tell me about that. Why is that?
So for anybody that's a personal injury lawyer, I think the biggest bottleneck for across the board is gathering medical records.
Okay.
I mean, nobody likes it. Nobody's good at it. It's just picking up the phone and calling nonstop until you get them to respond to your request. So we built out a good task flow of here's how you order a record. Here's our form. Here's what you send. Here's what you send to Blue Cross. Here's what you send to Medicaid, Medicare. And once we had that system built out, we were able to hire a virtual assistant. And now she does all of our medical records requests and retrievals, and she's so on top of it. It's her full-time job. She cost me a third as much as an in-person legal assistant.
Oh, sure.
She gets twice as much work done. And then I've also got a virtual assistant in Mexico that's perfect English, perfect Spanish, no accent in either language. And he's in charge of medical tracking. So he calls the client, depending on the stage of the case, either every 14 days or every 30 days or every 60 days to get an update on medical treatment, see if they have any questions, seen any new providers, have any new symptoms. And then I review his reports weekly. My staff reviews them daily
Yeah.
to see, okay, do we need to make a referral to a neurologist? Do we need to make a referral to an orthopedic specialist? What records do we need to be gathering? And it helps us to project when that case should settle for budgeting purposes as well.
Do you use case management software to track all that?
Yeah, we use FileVine.
I use FileVine. Okay, I've met those guys before. Great.
Yeah, we've been real pleased. I think sometimes the only bad things I've ever heard about FileVine, ultimately it goes back to who your account manager is, in my opinion.
Okay,
So
yeah, always.
I've got a really good account manager. His name is Andrew Grossman, and he's always there. He returns my phone calls, picks up the phone when I call, and he's willing to go above and beyond to help us solve a
Excellent.
problem.
That's good to hear. I'm a big believer in that. Actually, one of the founders spun off and started his own business from a FileVine. Do you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So okay, so you use that. So you're leveraging technology. I know you asked that, but you're a big believer in leveraging all those tools, which is great. That's where you get operating leverage.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why, and what made me think about that is when you ask about hiring a lawyer, I do need a lawyer to take some of the litigation off my shoulders, but I hear attorneys all the time in similar situations to me, or even with smaller practices where they're hiring an associate as their third, sometimes their second employee. And that doesn't make any sense to me. If I hire somebody now, the lawyer would be my 10th employee. And so, I think that's the way to really do it, is build your staff out first rather than, so my paralegals do everything basically that they can do without a law license. And then they delegate everything that they can do or that they feel comfortable training on. And so we're trying to build it out where, these virtual assistants are able to do, half of the work for us so that we can focus on the things that only we can do.
Makes sense. That's really smart. Where'd you learn that? That's very smart. You're really delegating all the lower level tasks and you just handle the high value stuff.
Well, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I have a relationship with Turnkey Ops, who I use to source my virtual assistants. And their founder, Ethan Ostroff, he's become a good friend of mine just from us working together.
Yeah.
And he helps me a ton. Other than that, Maximum Lawyer is a good group. And then I go to John Fisher's. I just got back from one of John Fisher's masterminds.
Okay. So you go to those. Okay.
Yeah, it's my first one, but I'll be going back. It was incredible.
Oh, good. Do you go to are you part of any of these trial law universities like TLU or Trial College?
No. So I'm active with the Alabama Association for Justice, or Alabama Association for Trial Lawyers.
Yep.
I haven't been to any of those trial colleges yet, other than some TBI seminars and some trucking seminars. I've read Reptile. I've read Damages. I've read most of the Trial Lawyers College materials as well.
Yep.
When I was at my old firm, that was a focus of mine, was becoming an exceptional litigator and trial lawyer. Now that I'm on my own and I have to do everything, I found that my shortcomings are more on the processes and systems.
On the administrative side, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why'd you decide to break out on your own?
Well, I had a bunch of cases that I had originated myself. My law partners were probably the two best trial lawyers in Huntsville, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
It was like a residency working for those guys. I tried 10 cases. I wrote dozens of trial briefs, wrote 15, 20 appellate briefs. And they taught me a ton. They're in the prime of their career, though. They're in their early to mid 50s. If I was a little less entrepreneurial, or if they were 10 years older, I would have stayed there forever.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I've got a different timeline than they have. I wanted to make some changes in the firm that they weren't comfortable with. And really the only way to make those changes was to be my own boss, make the decisions myself.
Good for you. It's good stuff. So you get to try cases. You go to the courtroom and you try and do jury trials.
Yeah, I love trying cases. I'm trying one a week from Monday. It'll be the first one I've tried in a while,
Oh,
actually.
nice.
Yeah, I love trying cases. I don't like preparing for trial. I don't like playing catch up after trial. But once I get in the courtroom, there's nowhere I'd rather be.
Excellent.
And I'm trying to build my practice where I get to handle the systems and the processes. I'm the managing partner. I'm the primary marketer. I'm the face of the law firm, and then I also try cases. When I hire lawyers, I'm hoping to have somebody help with the pre-litigation and then the pre-trial work. I want to try cases.
That's all you want to do. Okay, good. So how do you prepare for them? You don't like doing that, but like, how do you get ready? How do you, hone your argument so it's going to resonate the right way?
So in Alabama, it depends on the case, but in Alabama, we take pretty much every medical testimony by deposition. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
I video all mine, and that's trial testimony. And so I prepare for, even on a small case, 4 or 5 hours for a half-hour doctor's depot. On a big case, it's nothing to spend 2 days preparing for this doctor's depot, because in my opinion, in a conservative venue, it's the single most important part of the case is what does your doctor say? So that's a lot of work. And we take 10 doctor's depositions for every one case that actually goes to trial, because a lot of cases settle after medical testimony. But as far as preparing on the eve of trial, the 2 or 3 weeks leading up, I reread my trial books. I reread Reptile. I reread Damages 3. And I take a lot of notes. I tab a lot of stuff. And as I basically build my outlines as I'm reading those books. And depending on the case, like this one on Monday, it's a low compensatory damages case, but it's got a lot of heat. The kid is driving 100 miles an hour, he's swerving in and out of traffic before he hits my client. And so that's a perfect Reptile case where I'll make it all about the defendant's conduct and really not talk about my client's medical treatment other than during his direct examination and a little bit in open and close.
Well, what's the defense? If the guy was driving 100 miles an hour and
I don't know, it's State Farm. So it's just, they just here's my theory on State Farm and Allstate. And I think it's smart. I think that they know that they can put lawyers in a bind if they lowball us and make us try cases. Some firms can't afford to wait 4 years to try small cases. Some firms can't afford to take off a week to try a case. So I think they're using that as leverage. And I think they're also collecting data on lawyers where if you're not willing to try a case, they know it.
So they push you. I see. Okay. But they're rolling the dice, aren't they, when they get in the courtroom and you get this huge verdict and they're out of money?
Yeah. They're one of the largest companies in the world. So if I pop them for 250,000, that doesn't move the needle at all. I think they just are weighing the pros and cons, and they know that, okay, if we settle 100 cases for half value and we get popped on 1 out of 100, that's a pretty good trade.
I see. Statistically, it still makes sense to play that game.
So what I tell my clients is the insurance companies make us try cases. I've got to try 1 or 2% of my cases in order to increase the value on the other 99% of my cases.
Yeah.
Okay. If I settle every case, eventually those settlement values are going to go down because insurance companies figure out, well, Hunter's afraid to try a case. So I tell my clients a lot. Sometimes it's early on. Like, I like your case. It's a hard case. I think there's a good chance it goes to trial. I have to try cases occasionally. I don't want the insurance companies dictating which cases I have to try. I want to pick which cases I try. And so I've got 2 cases against State Farm right now where I have exceptional clients. I have good liability. I have a good crunch to the car, and they are offering lowball offers. And I've earmarked those 2 to be the 2 that I try this year and next year. And it's just kind of part of it.
Is that a typical case you work on, like a car accident?
Yeah, I'd say 90 to 95% are car accident cases.
Okay. Got it. Interesting. And do you ever focus group these things? You do mock trials?
I do on big cases. I definitely do. The one that I'm referring to that I'll try next year, I probably will focus group. this case that I'm trying next week, I didn't, because it is it's a case that I'm comfortable. I pretty much know what a jury's going to do. They're going to be pissed off. It's just a matter of whether they're really, really mad or kind of mad.
Right. So that's
But
the key, right? Yeah. You got to tap into that emotion. So yeah. I mean, yeah, it's interesting because I mean, as you're suggesting here, it really is based on emotions, right? So that's the key. How do I turn up that emotion so they really rule in my favor?
Yeah, that's right. This can happen to anybody. My client was a law student at the time. He's coming home from law school to have dinner with his family in Huntsville, and he's just minding his own business, talking to his girlfriend over his Bluetooth. And the next thing he knows, he's clipped and he's flipping, and he's lucky to be alive.
Wow.
And if you can, you have to be delicate, but you want the jury to put themselves in your client's shoes, but you obviously can't say, put yourself in my client's shoes.
Right.
But that's the goal. Everybody on the jury is going to travel this interstate that where this accident happened weekly. And so this could happen to any one of them.
Yeah. No, interesting. And is there any caps on those accidents in Alabama where you are? I mean, you mentioned conservative a bunch of times. So
no, that's the one thing we've got going for us is we do have some punitive damages caps. I think it's 250,000 or 3 or 5 times compensatory damages. So like in this case, if I win 500,000 and it's 450,000 in compensatory meaning punitives and 50 in compensatory, the judge would reduce it to 250.
okay.
So, but in this case, we actually did settle with the tortfeasor, the at-fault driver. But we've got underinsured motorists covered, and that's who we're really going to trial against is the uninsured motorist carrier. So we have a cap there because it's a contractual claim. So we can only get up to our policy limits, which in my case is 150,000 on top of the 25 that the tortfeasor got.
Oh, for underinsured, you go back to your policy. I mean, you can't get anything beyond that.
That's right.
Okay. Yep. That's too bad, right?
Yeah, it's okay though. I mean, it's still, there's really sad cases out there. We settled a case earlier this week where the family only had 25,000 in UM, and they're severely injured.
Yeah.
Thankfully, in this case, we've got 150, and so it's more than we see most of the time.
Yeah. So there's no vehicle to get more if someone's just underinsured and there's a catastrophic injury,
unless you open up the policy. But that's extremely hard under Alabama law to open up the policy and pursue a bad faith case.
Yeah.
Happens sometime. I've got another case against State Farm in Athens, which is a county just over from us. It's a county seat where the driver was drunk as a skunk. I mean, he's a 0.4. He's 5 times the legal limit. And State Farm, they've only got 25,000 in coverage, and they refuse to offer it. So like that's a case where, in my opinion, they bought that verdict. That policy's open.
Yeah.
And I told them we're going to go try this case, and I'm going to ask for, whatever, pick a number, huge number.
Huge number.
Yeah.
So State Farm, are they the main insurer in that area? It sounds like
they're the largest insurer. Alpha, which is a local farmers federation insurance agency. They're big and they're good. They're good to deal with. Allstate's big. They're terrible. Geico is pretty big. They're okay. Those are the 4 major players, and really Allstate, State Farm, Alpha are kind of in their own tier.
Got it. All right. Well, good. Well, listen, this has been really interesting. I appreciate the time you spent with us. We could talk for a long time, I'm sure. But just to wrap it up, I mean, what do you want people to know about your firm and you, and what's the best way to connect?
So here's what I'll say is I love helping lawyers, and I don't have a podcast. I don't have a mastermind group. I don't have any, I'm not monetizing this at all.
Sure.
But if there's anybody out there that's thinking about starting a practice, or they've started a practice and they want to systematize things or change things, I'd love to talk to them. Like I said, it's my favorite thing in the world to do is to talk to lawyers and try to help them. It just gets me fired up, and it helps me too, because I'm going to see their problems and maybe even be able to use something that they're telling me to help my practice too.
Sure.
So if there's anybody that wants to reach out, my cell phone number is 221-8967. You can find me on Facebook, Hunter Garnett. I've got lawyer friends all across the country, and I'm on LinkedIn. Not as active on LinkedIn, but I'm on there fairly regularly, and that's really it.
Okay, excellent, good stuff. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure for everybody. Once again, it's Hunter Garnett from Garnett Patterson in Huntsville, Alabama. And this show is sponsored by EmotionTrac, and we're a legal tech platform that actually helps guys like you prepare for litigation, for mediation and trials with our AI-powered insights platform. So thanks again, Hunter. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Okay.